Boom. All these levels look okay as of right now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are back with the Sigma Show, episode number 15. Before I let you know who is joining me this week, real quick, we're just going to go over the quick topics that we're going to be discussing. Let me pull up my list over here. First up, there's a number of new TV/movie projects that have just been announced. We'll be, I guess, dissecting which ones we're actually excited about and which ones we probably don't care about. After that, some concerning news that the Japanese government is taking in terms of copyright stuff and cosplayers. And it could be the start of a kind of slippery slope. So we're going to dive into that. And probably the biggest news of the week is all of the drama surrounding the GameStop stock situation, the Robinhood stuff, the New York Stock Exchange stuff. Essentially, the global economy is falling apart at the seams, and we're going to cover it as best as we can as non-financial experts. But to
Yeah.
talk with me about all these things, Blue Bones is joining me today,
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy.
as well as Superman Jeff.
Hey, what's going on? How we doing?
Rexicon Jesse is back,
Howdy.
and joining us today for the first time on this iteration of the show is Miss Madam Zeddy. Hey,
Hi.
since you are brand new to this version of the show, do you want to just give our audience a quick introduction as to who you are, what do you do, like where would people maybe have seen you before?
Okay, so first off, my name is Kendra. I also go as Madam Zeddy and Senpai Dolphin Cosplay. You've probably seen some of my cosplays more specifically on Twitter because that's where most of them have, you know, got some spark, and I'm just like, oh my
Yeah, you've
gosh,
been
like,
kind of blowing up left and right. I feel like.
yeah, like it's crazy. Like I think the biggest one that really got the most attention was my Carol Stanley cosplay from Carol and Tuesday. I had jumped on this character versus cosplay trend, and people were just like, "Oh my gosh!" Like Netflix adaptation, like please, like live action, please. But yeah, I've been cosplaying for like three years now. Aside from cosplay, I also game from time to time. I'm a big uh,
Yeah,
Sims head. Like,
I remember.
like I literally just bought the most recent game pack
Oh
yesterday because I think
man.
they came out with a paranormal party pack, and I'm just like, let me just get this and call it a day. But I also am heavy on Dead by Daylight as well. That's one of my other top favorite games to play. So yeah.
awesome. So very happy that you're joining us once again. Hope we'll be seeing you a little more often in the future, as I like to rotate guests in and out on a weekly basis. But first, we'll jump into some of these TV projects. Since there are five of us, which can make a conversation go a little longer than usual, and it's supposed to be a 45 to 1 hour show. What I want to do is, out of the stuff that we know is coming, if you want to kind of just talk to the rest of us about one of the ones that you're actually excited for, or maybe one of the ones that you are like, this is a bad idea, I hate it. And so we'll just kind of go around like that and kind of react to those opinions. So does anyone have strong feelings one way or the other and want to go first as to what's been announced? Or should I say, first
Uh,
up, we have an anime series for Kong Skull Island, an anime series for the new Tomb Raider, a movie for Tomb Raider, the new like video game adaptation, whatever, as well as a Harry Potter TV series that's going to be coming. Right? Was there anything else I'm missing?
Mm.
no, those three. Uh, Me personally, I'm not super attached to any one of these series, except I would say I think Harry Potter the TV series is probably a good idea. I did like I wasn't a fan of it when I first started watching Harry Potter. My fiance now got me into it when we first started dating. We watched all the movies. The last ones that were darker, I actually enjoyed those. And then the Fantastic Beasts series, I like that as well. So I was like, okay, if they keep going in this direction, I could become a bigger Harry Potter fan. A TV series, I think, is a good way to flesh out that story and make people real fans, or make people like me really go into the Harry Potter verse. So I'm excited to see, especially HBO putting their hands on it. I think that's going to be.
Yeah,
I think that's a good mix.
They rarely miss HBO with their.
They
original
rarely
series.
miss, especially into darker and sci-fi stuff. So I'm pretty excited. Yeah, I'm optimistic about that.
Okay. Anybody else feel strongly about the Harry Potter thing, or?
Mm.
I think it'll make money. And like that.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm in the same boat. Like I don't care that much about Harry Potter. But I mean, is there
I feel
anything
like
else coming that is exciting to you guys?
For me personally, I'm so here for this Tomb Raider anime.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, I wasn't really too fond of the movie that came out that was supposed to tie into like the most recent reboot of the game. But for some reason, like I'm here for it just because it's going to be in anime form.
So the anime is
And
what
of course,
got
like
you.
and like I've always been, heavy on the franchise in general because I used to play Tomb Raider like when I was a kid. So just to see them doing anime, I'm just like, yeah, let me just tune into this right quick.
So I mean, and I guess I have the same question for Blue since he seems to be looking forward to the Harry Potter show. But we'll start with Tomb Raider. Where do you think they would want to actually go with this story? Like, because they seem to be doubling down on this new game's reboot plot line. Like, that's what that latest movie was about. It was literally like the first game from that new reboot was that movie, right? So do you think this anime is going to stick with that, or will it be like maybe a more traditional Lara Croft, or like the old PS1 style Lara Croft gets turned into an anime? Like, where do you want it to go, at least, since you're excited for it?
Honestly, I feel like for character development wise, they should tailor to more as like the first reboot of the movie. But I also feel like them following through with the Rise of Tomb Raider would also be a good plot line. Because location wise, I think they would do a really good job. Kind of like tailoring into, okay, now that she's the Lara Croft that we have known to love, like, where's she going to take off from there? So either the first movie or the first reboot of the game and then the Rise of Tomb Raider, which is a sequel. I would love to see like the plot line for either one of them.
Okay. And what about you then, Blue? Like, where would you want them to set the Harry Potter TV show? Because they can kind of go anywhere at this point, right?
Okay, so this is what I've been thinking, right? And this might not be. This is probably their best option, but hear me out. Bury the Harry, the next generation, similar to Boruto to Naruto, the next generation. You're gonna have Harry Potter grown up. He's got a kid going to Hogwarts, starting out, and
Is his kid's name
we're kind of.
Barry?
I don't know, but I'm just making it up, right?
Barry Potter.
All I'm saying is, I think an easy route to go for them would to have a grown-up Harry start to raise a family and dealing with that in this magical world. I don't know if that's gonna be the most compelling story, but if I had to put money on it, that's probably the way they're gonna go.
So you see it following a grown-up Harry and not just a grown-up Harry in the background, like in Naruto to Boruto or whatever, and then like it's following the child. You want it to still follow Harry.
Oh, no. I don't think it should still follow her. I think it should follow the child, but it might get too corny. It might get too corny. I hope it doesn't. But
I mean, it is a direction. Like it's been tried, as we've seen with the Boruto series, but I kind of stopped watching it some time ago, so I'm not sure how well that's actually doing nowadays.
I heard it's not too bad at this point. Never mind. Let's not get into that.
All right.
But I heard it picked up.
How about you, Jesse? Do you have strong feelings about any of these new announcements?
I mean, I'm really looking forward. Well, okay, the Tomb Raider movie, I haven't seen the latest one, but I love Tomb Raider in the sense that I love Tomb Raider from 1996, which is a story that's like, hey, isn't this cool? Like architecture grave or archaeology grave robbing. Haha, right? Classic adventure. And then turns into a story about an exiled Atlantean who wants to create a new breed of sentient creatures to overthrow humanity, and turns into some sort of body horror, like wild experience. That's what I want. And nobody gives me that. But Misha Green from Lovecraft Country is directing the new Tomb Raider movie. And that gives me a slight hope that maybe that's going in that direction.
Maybe she'll revive that
Yeah.
kind of feeling of the
Yeah.
supernatural.
Right.
What I read was is the new movie is supposed to tie in with all the past games, even the '90s versions.
Oh, that's what I want. I just want body horror in my fake pulp adventure.
But the new movie is it a sequel to this reboot movie?
It
Okay,
is,
so
yeah.
it's the same actress, the same universe, but they're trying to tie that all into the stuff we remember from the 90s.
Yeah. And Misha Green's written other stuff too. You know, I was looking at her IMDb, like she wrote for Spartacus, which is a great show.
Yeah, that was a good show.
Freaking love that show. And other things that are not, the horror that is Lovecraft Country, but I still want that. So that gives me hope.
Okay.
I have a question, and hopefully I'm not the only person ignorant of this. Body horror. What does that refer to?
I can't give a good explanation, but like horror that involves like the deconstruction and manipulation of the body.
Okay.
So have you seen John Carpenter's The Thing?
No, but I know of it. I'm not a huge
Have you
horror
seen
fan in
The
general.
Fly? Or are you at least aware of The Fly?
Human
No,
Centipede. Have you
Sorry.
seen that?
Human Centipede, yes. Actually, I have seen that.
There you go.
Okay, cool. All right, cool.
That answers your
I got it
question.
now.
Human Centipede
Hopefully
is
I
body
answered.
horror.
Hopefully, I'm not the only person who had that question. So, thank you. I appreciate that.
Right, no problem. So how about you, Jeff? Anything that you're excited for or dreading on this list?
Nothing I'm excited for or dreading, just some small things like Skull Island. I would love it if they left humans out of that and just let that be about monsters. To me, I feel like the
Yes.
human aspect is always the most boring part of it. Harry Potter, I feel like they need to leave Harry out of it just because I feel like no matter who they cast as Harry, fans just aren't going to be happy with that. So I feel
If
like
he's young.
Yeah, like if they
yeah,
recast someone
I
other
felt-
than Daniel Radcliffe.
yeah, it's just like not gonna work. Like they're gonna be like, nah, that's not Harry. But whatever, you can't make everybody happy. And then for Tomb Raider, it would be awesome if they did like an anthology series where each episode was like a different lore, like the lore from the '90s version, the lore from what was it, 2000s, and then the reboot version, like different anime styles for each episode.
Okay. I can see
Yeah,
that.
because there are a couple of different iterations, like the old PS1 looking one. There's like the 2000 ones. Yeah, that's an interesting take on it. I don't think I'd be too mad at that.
What's that one anthology they did? That was like Love Something and Robots.
I remember
Oh,
that.
Love,
Death,
Death,
and
Robots.
Robots.
Love, Death,
Yeah.
and Robots. I feel like that's kind of the vibe that you're talking about, Jeff.
that would
That'd be
be
interesting.
awesome.
Yeah, like just different stories. Yeah, that's not bad. I'd be into that. Out of all these things, like I find like the kaiju stuff to be like weirdly fun, except I kind of don't care about like King Kong or God. Like I've never cared about those. But there's this image that's burned into my brain of Godzilla like dunking a basketball in sneakers. Like I don't know if you guys have come across this at all on the internet.
I
but
know that commercial.
It's a commercial. I just remember
Yeah.
it's like a comic strip of him just. It's so funny to me. And it's just in my head all the time. So, aside from that, I kind of don't care about a Kong, Skull Island, or whatever show. I do think I'm probably in the minority, but I kind of liked that most recent Lara Croft movie. Like it doesn't do anything amazing, but the fact that it's stuck so close to the game, like it really looks like that game. They're almost shot-for-shot remakes of like cutscenes from the game in that movie, and it's not like a terrible movie. It just doesn't do anything to kind of elevate itself out of like, like a C-list popcorn flick. And it's a similar feeling to that most recent Assassin's Creed movie, which did the same thing. Like it looked just like Assassin's Creed. It was just a boring movie. And so like I kind of want them to keep doing this, like keep practicing making game movies that look just like these games, and then eventually, they'll churn out a decent story, and then we'll maybe get the level of video game movies that we've gotten from like the comic book stuff nowadays. So I'm kind of encouraged that this is still a thing, because that movie didn't do too great as far as I know, or at least it wasn't critically received all that well. Yeah. But if they keep, pushing at it, they went and got Misha Green, who's a talented writer, to work on it. Like, they can keep making these things better. So like that's kind of why I'm excited for the Lara Croft thing. The movie more so than the anime, because unless it's something interesting like Jeff mentioned, I don't have a ton of nostalgia for Lara Croft personally, so I guess that's a way to learn about that story. But I've always thought of her as a freaking Indiana Jones rehash, which a lot of people do, and so I don't know. Like, I don't care about Indiana Jones either. So it's just, I don't know. I'm kind of apathetic about a lot of these things.
Who matters to you? Who makes
Nothing. Give me a Legend of Zelda anime. That's what I want.
It's gonna be quiet, bro.
I'm fine with that. Let Navi
Like,
do all the talking.
Be like, actually, hold on now, because it could be like Samurai Jack, because Jack don't talk a whole bunch.
Yeah, he didn't talk that
right?
much.
He's always got people talking for him, like Navi, or hey, that could work.
So yeah, I mean, these are just super popular franchises. They make a ton of money. They're like, slap a show on it, and let's call it a day. But hopefully, something good will come out of this. That's kind of where I'm at with this stuff. DJ says, my hope is pinned on the MK movie.
Oh.
Yeah, they finally released a couple of like live shots in that HBO Max trailer. Like, there was a bunch of movies in the HBO Max trailer, and there were like 2 scenes of Mortal Kombat stuff, it looked like. And again, we don't really see much, so we're still waiting for that trailer to see like what that movie is shaping up to look like.
I don't have faith in it. All I want out of an MK movie is just the Raid Redemption with a Mortal Kombat skin. I don't need a story. I just want that.
I could not be mad at that. Yeah, I could not be mad at that.
That's okay. We've seen that work, and that's all I want out of that.
That's a good point.
Raid was such a simple story, and it was just perfect for what it was.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we'll wrap up all the TV stuff and move on to our second topic. So the Japanese government is potentially adding some new regulations, or at least proposing some new regulations, to how cosplayers can use certain intellectual property. Because as you know, if you don't know what cosplay is, we have Madame Zeddy here, who is an expert cosplayer in her own right. She dresses up as famous or popular media characters and takes pictures. Like, she goes to cons. She basically pretends to be those characters. And I'm not sure how your business is doing, but there are some cosplayers who make public appearances. They show up places for, appearance fees or whatnot, and they can make money from, dressing up as certain characters. And they're proposing that not just that level of, what's the word I'm looking for? Not that level of royalties are being paid back to the rights holders, but even kind of just taking pictures on social media would need to be, basically you get hit with a copyright strike because you're dressed as someone else's intellectual property, which I think would be detrimental to like the entire community in a way. But this is like the main reason why I wanted Kendra here, because like you're very big in cosplay at the moment, and I really wanted to get your take on like how this could affect you and some of your friends who do this.
Right. So I consider myself to be like a casual cosplayer, and I mainly cosplay as a hobby. I don't do it, for money. However, I feel like, I don't know, like I'm trying to look at the benefits, like the pros and the cons, like, because I've been like looking at other cosplayers' takes on this, and I came across one thread where, on one hand, this might be beneficial to have more creatives, be more in tune, and be more connected with the copyright holders, and be more willing and open to collaborate with them. However, you have, cosplayers who have turned this into a career, and this might potentially hurt them. For example, and more specifically, like loot cosplayers, because they take pictures and they utilize platforms like OnlyFans and Patreon, to sell their custom cosplay sets. So that could be one con. And another, if they're really trying to take over this whole cosplay thing and literally strike anybody who is portraying a character, then you're pretty much, hurting the cosplay community in general. And I'm also like trying to figure out like, well, if the Japanese government is going to do their take on this, you know, how are other brands going to do it? Like for example, Disney. If Disney sees somebody cosplaying their character, like they're going to be like, no, ma'am, I see you cosplaying as Princess Tiana. You're not going to do that. Strike. Like, so I feel I'm just gonna look. I'm just gonna keep my eye on it. Like, because I would be so hurt if this takes place and I'm sitting here cosplaying as, or I'm trying to cosplay as, one of my favorite Sailor Scouts, and then they're going to be like, no, you can't do that because X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying? And I think other factors can possibly take place as to why, you can't, you can't cosplay them. One example can be like, your race, your gender, your size, like all of that can take place. And if it does come to that, then they're really going to be in some deep trouble, And
Yeah, like that.
I'm
That
just
sounds
gonna
like a
I'm gonna
major
look out
blowback.
about it. Yeah.
I hadn't even considered that, to be honest. The fact that this could actually be specifically made to target like the lewd cosplayers, because they're the ones who seemingly seem to use those characters in possibly a way that the rights holders kind of don't want or don't like, and so they want to target them who are making money and also kind of maybe in their eyes defacing the character and kind of shut all that down. But it will kind of spread to everybody else possibly.
Yeah, I think it's a really it's difficult to really see the right way to go about this, you know what I mean? Because there's very legitimate concerns on either side of this. And just like Kendra was saying, there's some people who this is their livelihood, this is how they make the money to survive pandemics like what we're in. And shutting that down and taxing that is heavy. That's difficult. And just there's a lot of legitimate concerns on either side of this. And I don't know a way to make this work yet. I really don't. But I do think that there should be protection for the artists who make these characters, and protection for the people who make these characters in a different way. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's free publicity to me. Like, you're getting your character seen by people who might not have seen them before. You know what I'm saying? And it's bringing more light to it. I think we talked about this before, where a TV show just enhances a toy line tenfolds because kids are seeing, or people are seeing these toys in another light. Now they have more life to them. We've also seen this with another topic we had a couple month ago. I don't know. I remember some time ago. Somebody said that streamers should pay game creators for the rights to stream games.
Yeah, it's a very similar kind of call here, like this kind of gray area of the transformativeness of the content, and then the people who made the original version of it, and like what they're owed, because streamers can make a lot of money, cosplayers can make a lot of money. Are the people who created the thing that they're transforming owed any kind of money? Yeah, it's a gray area. Like, we're still kind of figuring that out right now, it seems like.
But if you notice, a lot of game creators, they value the people who stream it. They'll fly people out. They'll get copies in advance. I mean, even with you guys get the review stuff and have indie shows and stuff like that. So they see the benefit of people, streaming their games, talking about their games. It only brings more light to that product, and it's only going to do well for it. I mean, obviously, if it's a quality product. If it's crappy, it's not going to do well to begin with. But if it's a quality product, the more light on it, it's just going to bring you in more sales. For me, I feel like if there's something they want to push, I would just boycott. Like, unfortunately, sometimes that's the only way. Because if you see Kendra, like she said, what's to stop Disney to do that with Marvel characters, Star Wars characters?
Halloween gonna be canceled, y'all.
Yeah.
Or would having to buy an officially licensed costume be the only loophole around it? Because then,
oh my god,
then they're basically charging you to cosplay,
done.
right?
Fun.
Yeah.
those empty lots that's a Halloween town, you know what
Or
I mean? Every
cheer
time
Halloween.
with the big warehouses of costumes, those are gonna be
Yeah.
either super expensive or ran out of business.
And I think we as a consumer need to make a statement by, if that's something they want to pass, boycott them. Unfortunately, and if they can't sell any manga or anime, they're gonna kind of backtrace that, because if we let them get away with that, then everybody's gonna want to follow suit,
Mm.
Yeah.
because the rich just want to get richer and just benefit off of the
That's
poor.
true.
So if we allow that to keep happening, then we're gonna be definitely be in trouble. You wouldn't even be able to wear a T-shirt that says Plus Ultra without paying the creator. So
I don't
You're
know.
not wrong.
I mean,
You're not
technically, I
wrong.
did pay whoever got the license to make this shirt. I did pay for the shirt, so I don't know. It's such a weird gray area. But yeah, Jesse, you had something to add?
Yeah, I don't know exactly, everybody. I want to believe that it's the 1% being out of touch, because eat the rich. But I most cosplayers I know, and if you are a casual cosplayer, I don't know what low tier that puts me in. I don't know if there's a name for that, because I do it for fun, but I'm not good at it. Um, so you're way better at it than I am.
I've seen your
And
Waluigi
like,
Bayonetta mashup. that was fantastic.
thank you. But I know a lot of people that I know that do it for fun and that do make money at it. The amount of money they make is like barely enough, if even that, to cover making the costume and getting to a place where they can show it off and make the money off of it. And I feel like with the wording in the article and knowing what little I know about, out of touch business people, is that they're aiming for, well, this person makes tens of thousands of dollars a month on our characters, so we need to tax everybody for this. But that person is such an outlier in the
Yeah.
community, and like has, it's just so different from everybody else, that trying to do this to everybody is going to hurt it.
I will say, if the artists aren't getting the money that they deserve, they shouldn't be trying to hit the consumers for that. They need to be talking to their publishers or whoever they made a deal with where they didn't get this the money that they deserve. But they shouldn't come after cosplayers for that.
First and
Right, I'm just
foremost,
trying to dress up and look cute. Like, why am I getting penalized for this? Like,
Yeah.
if anything, I'm just bringing more people to either read your manga or watch your show. Because
Yeah.
I remember, I think I had took a part in the silhouette challenge. That's going on TikTok and everywhere. And
don't
so
know
I
what you're
did.
talking
The silhouette challenge.
no,
no blue.
Listen,
I love
Sigma
my
did
fiance.
one. Check his out. He did one too.
so like I did like a version of Luna. I did human Luna,
Mhm.
and literally like that, it's still taking off.
Oh, hold on. Did we lose Kendra?
I
Yep.
think he froze.
Uh-oh. I don't know if you can still hear us,
Still
Kendra.
taking off.
He said she's still taking off.
Still taking off.
But her picture and sound seems to have frozen for a little bit.
Yeah. Oh.
As I was invested in this, I want to know
Me
the rest
too. I
of the
want to know. Me
sentence.
too. Like, what's going on? I also feel like they started taxing now because definitely nerd culture is to the forefront of everything right now. To the point where they're like, oh, now we need to get our pockets into there and get some of that. Even though the better nerd culture does, they should be seeing an increase in their sales. And if they're not, I think this kind of goes back to what Sigma said, is putting your content in a stable location that's accessible to everybody, then that makes it a lot easier. Nowadays with manga, it's a lot harder to get it, especially as quickly as they get it in Japan and China. So that could be another reason. Or maybe if they want to sell a license, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you got to pay $50 to license to this, blah, blah, blah. And then you could pretty much cosplay as whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a slippery slope. It really is a slippery slope.
Yep.
And I don't think it's one that we should really let go. We can't. I don't know, man.
Well,
It's just gonna be the.
So it looks
Go
like
ahead.
Kendra still can't see or hear anything. So I'm just gonna shut off the call real quick
Okay.
and see if we can
Come
get
back.
her back. Yeah. So give me
Okay.
1 second.
RP.
Cool.
All right. I think we have everybody back. This should be full screen. There we go. All right. So sorry, Kendra, you were in the middle of a point about how
Just now taking
the
off.
silhouette challenge was still taking off. You just like to dress up. I don't know if you remember where you were.
Oh, yeah, I was basically saying like I had did like a cosplay version of, I think it was Luna, and then it was also Sylveon from Pokemon.
Mhm.
And so I did like two versions of that, and I would have people coming to me like more specifically with the whole Luna silhouette challenge video, like, oh my gosh, like maybe I need to take time to actually watch Sailor Moon. And I'm just like, you know what, you're right. Like, come join the fandom.
That's
You know
free
what I mean?
publicity.
Like, if this video is going to like get you to watch Sailor Moon, by all means, like hop on board the Mooney train. You know what I'm saying? And so to see, the Japanese government possibly, trying to take hold on that particular aspect of, cosplay in general, like I really think is going to come back and bite them in the ass. So
Yeah, like it's literally what Jesse said. Like it seems like and probably not even the actual creators, but the people who work with them, the business machine that kind of puts the creator stuff out, they have just a basic disconnect with the fan base. 'Cause that's what it is. Anyone who's dressing up like a character is a fan of that character. Like they don't want to hurt
Yeah.
the brand. They don't want to whatever. Like they're fans. And if you attack the
right,
fan base, they're not going to be fans anymore. They're going to turn around and be like, "Well,
right. If
F your
anything,
show."
if anything, we're just showing appreciation,
Yeah, they're
in
celebrating
the
the
form of
product. Like,
art.
isn't that what companies want? They want people to
And
live the
it's art
lifestyle of the brand and
expression.
all that. So it's so backwards. But
And it's also Japan where they try to kind of control a lot. So it's also, I think we had another instance with the one guy who was in the had to do with Blizzard. I think it was when
That
they
was
banned.
China.
no,
Yeah,
yeah,
that was that China.
yeah, you're talking about the Chinese government and all that.
Okay, but Japan's not much better. They kind of have restrictions on internet access. So let's just be real. So it's definitely where they try to censor a lot of stuff as well. So it's not likely to happen over here if it does happen over there, but I do think it's bad precedence for no matter where it happens.
Like the only defense for it not happening, I feel like, is the long-standing history of like that kind of relation between popular brands and like people dressing up like Halloween is basically based around that entire thing.
Yeah.
Like popular content and media jumped on Halloween, like buy all our stuff, like look like our characters, like sell our characters to the rest of the world, right? So
Yeah.
like that's the only defense. And again, it's not a viable strategy to tax cosplayers because, like Jesse said, they don't make that much money doing this kind of thing. But if they were
Just
to
gonna
do
shut
that,
them all down.
yeah, if they
Yeah.
were to do that, and another business was like, oh, so they managed to get this much money from that person, they might copy because like, oh, well, we have this many more people doing this thing who are making this amount of money. Well, maybe we can make some money from doing it too. So like, yeah, if one of these guys gets started, I do feel like there might be a bit of a domino effect happening. So I do hope this gets nipped in the bud right away.
Yeah.
But is there anything else on this whole cosplay story, or do you want to move on to the final story of today?
Let's get to the meat and potatoes.
All right. It's been impossible to ignore I'm sure you, your friends, your grandma have all heard about the GameStop drama. If you don't know what's been happening, I'll try to give you the best quick synopsis I possibly can because I've been obsessed with this stuff. I watched The Big Short like 2 nights ago because I wanted to understand what short selling was. Like I've been deep in this rabbit hole for a couple of days now, right? So, GameStop, as you all know, has been in decline. It's been a failing business for several years now, right? Wall Street knows this, and it became a favorite stock for Wall Street to short. What that means is they would bet that that particular stock would continue to go down. So they'd borrow a certain amount of stocks at a certain price. Once it went down, they would buy that. They would promise to buy that stock for the amount that it was when they borrowed it. But now that it's down, they basically get to recoup whatever money is the difference. If that makes any sense, I know it's a heady concept. But the point is, they've been doing this for actually a while now. It became the most shorted stock on the New York Stock Exchange. Every big hedge fund was using GameStop to basically just rack up billions of dollars, right? A couple of savvy Redditors from the Wall Street Bets subreddit noticed this. Like, you can see this information. Like, people publish reports. You can, like, look at the stock exchange. Like, you can see this stuff out there. They noticed this. They said, look, if we actually buy a bunch of this stock, it'll raise the stock price, which would make these companies that took out all of these short positions on that stock actually lose the money because they're all betting that it will fail.
Yeah.
So a bunch of people got behind that movement and did exactly that. And to date, Melvin Capital, who was one of the biggest offenders of taking out short positions on GameStop, lost upwards of 20-something million, not million, I'm sorry, 20-something billion dollars. They were almost put out of business. They had to take an infusion of cash from the person who owns the hedge fund. So, like, his personal owned $2 billion he had to give to Melvin Capital to keep the hedge fund afloat. And so this has basically started a backlash with Robinhood, was probably the most popular trading app for, like, us regular Joes, right? Robinhood, which I think is owned by a hedge fund, actually stopped people from being able to buy GameStop stock. They basically cut off people's ability to do so. If you already own stock, the only thing you could do was sell it off. And as of today, they've reopened it, but you can actually only own limited amounts. Like, you can buy, at some point you were able to buy up to 5 shares. And then as of today or last night when I tried, you're only able to buy a single stock. Because hedge funds are still losing money. Like, they still have about a couple of days before they have to pay back those options that they took out. And so they're hoping that it actually finally does go down, and stopping people from being able to buy more of it is a way to kind of do that, or at least to stop the bleeding so that they don't keep losing money. So the the White House is apparently monitoring the situation. We've got statements from AOC saying that she would support, a Senate hearing about what Robinhood did after this. And the SEC supposedly is monitoring the situation, the Securities Exchange Commission. So these are all the big players in the financial world. The entire world, for example, because, like, Asian markets and European markets were also getting in on the GameStop stuff. So the entire world is looking at GameStop and its stock market and how it's kind of single-handedly bringing down Wall Street, which is what the Occupy Wall Street movement couldn't do when they were out on the streets. A bunch of armchair traders essentially have dealt a very big blow to the market, and now everyone's wondering about regulation finally and whatnot. So, I mean, how has all of this stuff been affecting you guys? Like, what's your relationship to finance or stocks or GameStop or whatever, any of this stuff?
Real quick, before we jump into this, I do want to just point out the irony of Robinhood protecting the rich.
Yeah, there were a number of people calling into question that.
Like, oh my gosh! But sorry, I just wanted to point that out before.
No, it's absolutely ridiculous.
I haven't dealt with it much, but it just seems to me that they were manipulating the system to make money. And now when it's done the opposite way and they're losing money, now it's a problem. So you were making money at the expense of GameStop because you were selling for, let's say you bought those shares for 400 or whatever. You were getting it back for the difference when it went down. So you're pretty much getting those shares for like half the price depending on how far the shares went down.
Yeah.
So like you were getting an extra. So if you spent 300, you were getting an extra 100 back or whatever it was. So you were
And these guys do it at such a volume that like you're using like small numbers. They're doing this in like the range of millions and billions.
Billions, yeah. And you're making that money. You didn't just start making this. You've been doing this. So you've already made a substantial amount of money.
Generations.
Somebody saw what you were doing, and they did the opposite, which caused you to then lose money. I don't see where the harm is because you pretty much did what the stock market does to tons of people. They were up, and then guess what? They lost everything.
Yeah, it's very much a case of they're not upset that this happened. They're upset because it happened to them.
Because they lost 100%, bro. 100%. Like when you roll the dice, you got to expect sometimes you're gonna get snake eyes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
If you didn't think this was fair, you shouldn't have been doing it for the opposite effect. You were manipulating something. Then when it got manipulated the other way, now oh my God, somebody needs to stop this.
Legally.
Let's have a Senate hearing.
I mean,
also, can we? Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, can we just take a moment to realize it's like a person whose hedge fund, if this was a problem, had to put in $2 billion of their own money. They had $2 billion
just laying around.
Just do that.
Just laying around.
And it wasn't like
that's a problem.
$2 billion.
That is a problem.
For me to give somebody $2 billion, that means I would already need to have like at least $20 billion on the side.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Not like, oh, this is my last $2 billion. Here you go.
You know what I mean? Like,
This is my last. At least give me some fries with this.
like, okay, what kills me about this whole thing, right, is that stock value is typically just a mental concept of what we think it's worth. So all of this is kind of built on sand anyway. In my head, you know what I mean? Like,
No, you're not far from the truth.
I personally don't own any stocks right now, and I've been watching a lot of stuff and blah blah blah. But it just all feels like gambling to me. And this is the
100% gambling.
The biggest gambling game in the world. And it's so scary because so many people for generations have been playing this game and the rules are never fair because it's built on such sand, you know what I mean? So the fact that this happened, I think is hilarious. Is this encouraging me to start some trading? I don't know. I really don't. I really don't, because it's still just built on, oh, GameStop might be valuable now. Boop, 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 boop. You know what I mean? That's legit.
I mean, when we first talked about, because we've been talking about GameStop off and on for I want to say the past year, right? Because they've been in trouble for a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was around when Reggie Fils-Aimé joined their board. Like he left Nintendo, he was kind of doing nothing, and then it was like, hey, here I am now. It's like, so I thought that was interesting news. We talked about it on the show back then. I actually purchased stock in GameStop then. It was like $3.75 then.
Mm.
So when
you eating.
a little bit, like I jumped ship before things got like super crazy. I still have like one share that I'm holding on to, but the thing is, like, it's all speculation, like Blue was saying. Like it's the perceived value of what a thing is gonna be worth.
Yeah,
right?
Based on the profits that they made for that particular year or whatever. So like, especially like when a company goes from private to public. The earnings that they report affects the way people perceive that it's going to trend. So when you see a lot of people do, there was a documentary I seen where a guy was reporting false earnings to give a false indication of what the company was worth, and that's how he was making. That's how he was making his money off of his percentage in the company, even though the company was just hemorrhaging money. He was making his money by the amount that the stocks had made him, by the percentage that he owned in that particular company that he had.
People equate or have noticed that with Tesla, which is one of the biggest like stocks out. I want to say like Tesla shares go for like maybe $800 something a share, and honestly, it's all based on speculation because Tesla doesn't have that many products out. Like they do a lot of R&D, they do research and development, which costs money. So people are like, Tesla's gonna be big one day, so let me put my money in now. and like their stock price is like super inflated, but like it's not going down because people have faith in Elon Musk and like the technology that he's like developing, right?
And the Biden administration helping out the green initiative.
Yeah, I mean it
And
makes
that's
sense. It makes sense. Like if you're
yeah,
Tesla's a company that's investing in the future. And if you think that the future is going to be a thing that has all these technological whatnots, Tesla is the company that's giving you a freaking Cybertruck that looks like a Transformer.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of makes sense. Like, if you care about the future,
Okay,
you would
super
invest in
dope.
Tesla, right? So that's kind of how that works. In this case, though, GameStop is still on the decline. Nothing has changed about GameStop other than a couple of rearrangements in the management. We haven't seen what they intend to actually do going forward that could justify this inflation of the stock price. So I do wonder, because I'm not fully understanding, I guess, how this affects GameStop itself. Because now that they have all this, stock,
Attention.
yeah, they have all this like stock money to do. I mean, what can GameStop do anything with that? Like, I don't know. Like, can they make GameStop better based on people essentially wanting to save it, but also sticking it to the hedge fund? Because the hedge funds were betting on them to lose. So I'm sure there's
Yeah,
no love
exactly.
loss there between GameStop and like
Yeah.
the big
So that's-
capital.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, I have no idea. Like, what could GameStop possibly do with hedge funds? I don't know if anyone in the chat has speculation. Anybody here does. I don't know.
I did see an article where they were trying to something they should have kind of been did, which in essence what GameStop is going. It's contradictory to this. Is trying to be more digital, which is the opposite. I think they need to get away from more so game selling so much of the games, and they need it. They got some of like Magic together. They got cards in. They got statues, collectibles, T-shirts, but for me, GameStop comes in handy when I need a controller right then and there, and I don't want to wait for it to come in the mail. I'll go to GameStop. If I want a game, though, I'm gonna download that. I'm not gonna go buy that game. Unless I just
So-
happen to be there and it's on sale. So I
saying
did,
hardware.
yeah, so I did see that they were very big on. They said they were making a big push to digital. How they're gonna do that, I am not sure. But like Blue said, hardware is to me where the bucks come in. So like when I went to GameStop to get my Series X and they only had like 3, like how are you making any money on that? They need to secure those contracts. Like when eventually they got that partnership with Microsoft, they should have tried to be like maybe like the number one retailer of the Series X. People need
Yeah.
to go there. They're gonna flock there. While they're there, they're gonna need a controller. They're gonna need this. They're gonna need that. They're gonna make all their money on their attachments like they normally would. But because they only had 3, they're not gonna really make that much money. And the way they try to earn more money is what they sold online. They tried to force you to buy a bundle. You can only get this Series X by paying this $700 that had
But I
a bunch
think-
of stuff you probably didn't need.
I think that they were forced to do that because, like you're saying, like it would make sense if they were the only place you could go and get a physical hardware for accessories and whatnot. But they're not. There are other big retailers that sell everything, like Target, Walmart, Microsoft themselves will sell you their stuff directly. So if you don't want to leave the house, you can just order it and have it shipped to you like via Amazon or whatever, right? So like they can't I think they just don't have that option. So they can maybe hold on to some of their physical locations and be like, sure, we can still offer you this. But I do agree with what you're saying. Like, I don't know how they compete with anyone digitally because they're still a retailer at heart. Like, they don't produce anything that you would then need to get from them digitally. So like it's hard to understand like where they go from here. Like if they're not a physical space that people can come to and celebrate gaming, which I think was the idea that they were looking for before the pandemic hit. Like if they can't even do that now, it really does seem like they're kind of on their last legs. Like sooner or later, like if things don't change, if you can't physically go and hang out with people at a location like a GameStop, there's kind of no place for them in the future. So it makes sense why people were betting against them. It's just
Yeah.
It was
like,
rude. That's
there's
what it
not-
was.
Yeah.
Kick him all the way down. He was
And it's
really
hard-
like, yo, he's dying, ain't he? And they just poking
Yeah.
him with the stick.
like, did I taking a watch off him, like removing his socks off his feet?
Yeah. They
You don't
mugging
need
him while
that.
he's bleeding out.
You don't need that. Let me get that.
Real
and,
talk.
and it's like, so this money, like in reality, could be used to hopefully reinvigorate the company, but there's
But
not
they can't-
much they can do. I think they really need to sit down and have focus groups with their customer base, not really the people who are in the boardroom, because they're not going to be able to unfortunately give them the ideas that they need to get people into GameStop. You're going to need to sell something that are going to bring people in, because that's the only way for you to get your money. Yeah, online sales, but that's more of your e-commerce sales. That doesn't really help the stores, in each town. You're going to have to bring people into the store in order to make money. T-shirts and statues and that type of stuff helps, but you're definitely going to need something bigger. I mean,
And
I
you
would just
can't.
put a ramen shop to GameStop. I'm just
But
saying.
either way, but
Honestly.
what I'm saying is like right now you can't. Like even if they wanted
No,
to
yeah,
do
yeah,
that, you
yeah,
just
yeah.
can't.
Yeah, no,
So
yeah.
that's the scariest part about all this, because the value of GameStop went up for what?
Well, they're really
It
caught in
doesn't
the middle. Like it has nothing to do with GameStop proper. Like in all honesty,
Exactly.
it just so happened GameStop was the target of this, this. I don't even know if you can call it predatory, because in all like short sales in general aren't inherently bad. They tend to actually kind of expose actual stock market fraud. Like in the movie The Big Short, which I watched in doing research, that's kind of how they exposed the 2008 financial crisis before it happened, because they noticed that the economy was this thing that is considered unfallible. Like it always goes up, everything will be fine. The housing market is the most stable market. So much so that they ignored kind of just people doing all this predatory lending, giving people AAA ratings in packets of loans where pretty much no one was going to be able to pay them back. And they saw that coming, so they shorted those guys and made a bunch of money off of the stock market crashing, right? I mean, it's not super altruistic, but at the very least, they were running around. At least the movie says it like this: that they were running around telling people, like, "Hey, are you at all concerned with all of these shenanigans happening and all this AAA rated credit stuff? Like, they're like, something's wrong here. You don't see that?"
Yeah.
The people would be like, "Whatever. The economy is great. The housing market is solid." So they're like, "All right, short those guys. Short all those guys." That's kind of how that came off, right? So this was a case of them basically doing that to GameStop, as if GameStop was, well, they were betting against GameStop. So they knew GameStop was on its last legs. They were betting against it.
Yeah. They
And
were
people
poking.
who care about GameStop, or at the very least care about stopping the rich from getting richer, was like, forget all that. Just put all your money in GameStop because it'll screw them over. So Lampy adds that GameStop doesn't get access to
Yeah.
any of the money from the stocks. There's a difference between shorting of credit bonds, like I'm describing, and how the stock market works, and the shorting of that.
It gets in the weeds real quick when it comes to
Yeah, it's the thing is, like, it's purposefully hard to grasp. Like they don't
Yeah.
want the layman to understand what they're doing, because then they'd be able to do it, like we're seeing right now.
Real talk.
Right.
So like that's why they're all upset. So if they do start to regulate, the question is, I guess, what would they do? Because right now, all they're doing is stopping regular people from participating, which I think
Which is
is some
stupid.
level of illegal.
It should be all levels of illegal.
Because the stock
Yeah,
market
like
is,
when I guess
A free market,
when
right?
when
Yeah.
it comes, yeah, I guess when it comes to like Robinhood more specifically, like trying to not only put stipulations on how much shares they could possibly buy, and then you're also looking funny in the light because, I'm sitting here thinking that I can buy X, Y, Z amount of stocks, and you saying like, no, you can't do that. Then I'm gonna question you as an app itself. I might possibly want to go somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? And I think the main thing that I'm more so looking forward to is this whole Senate confirmation hearing. And how they're gonna fucking lace into the CEO of this app. I mean, because I think, what's his name, Vlad? I think the company owner's name is Vlad. I think he went on to CNN recently, and Chris Cuomo was pretty much lacing
I
into
saw that
him,
interview, yeah.
lacing into him because I'm just like, why would you want to like, mess up your consumer base like that by putting these stipulations and limiting, people from buying how many X, Y, and Z shares and stocks that they can possibly buy. You know what I'm saying? Like, stop moving the goalposts.
Yeah.
Like, why would you do that?
I was talking to a friend and he said once this is over, he's kind of going to boycott
Robin Hood.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like
That makes sense.
Like there's money tied into it right now.
You should, because it was you. But
You'll quote me when I'm next to you.
but my question is this: for this guy to lose $2 billion, how much was he trying to short GameStop? Like, how much did he put in to short them to lose over $2 billion?
That's rude, man. Like, if I found out someone was betting against me that hard, like, okay, let me tell you something, right? Let me tell you something, okay? We've had, like, tournaments and stuff like that, and if y'all bet against me, like, yo, Jeff owes me $20 because you lost, I'd be like, damn, dude, for real? $200. Dang, dude, $2,000. $2 billion? Son. And you know it was more than $2 billion. Oh, my God. Yo, do not come in my state, fam. Like, go... That's rude.
Yeah, like like whole companies just praying for you to fail.
Yeah.
And still praying for you to fail. Like that's kind of what this seems like. And Lampy is saying it's not actually illegal because this is all in Robinhood's terms of services. Like real
it's
talk,
immoral.
Kind of F that. Like
Yeah.
like even if it is, they know like why are they doing it now?
And that should be an illegal term of service.
Right, it's messed up, right? Like even if they put it in the terms of service and I agreed to it by signing up for the app, I was able to buy more than what they're letting me buy before this. So why is it all of a sudden now that this whole situation is happening, you're stopping people from doing it? It's because you're helping those guys.
It's direct manipulation.
Yes.
What makes it illegal for them to stop it? What gives them the grounds to stop it? Because obviously it was already going on, but in the opposite direction. So now that they're losing from it, now they want to stop it. Oh, this is wrong. You guys shouldn't be able to do this. But you've been doing it all this time, and for who knows for how many years. That's why you had an extra $2 billion.
And they were still able to do it. Like Robinhood basically stopped us from doing it because I don't have access to brokers on Wall Street who can get me however many shares of this, that, and the third by just calling them on the phone, right? Like I had to use Robinhood. Millions of Americans who aren't, professional stock traders had to use Robinhood. And it stopped them from doing this. Nothing stopped on the other side. Like they were able to kind of get their ducks in a row, try and refigure, how they can counteract this. Like they bought them time. Like I don't think it worked 100%, but like it allowed them to kind of try and formulate a way to stop the bleeding. Because now since that has happened, the price of GameStop stock has dropped. People were still able to buy some, but not as much as they probably wanted to. So it kind of bounced back a little bit. And right now I think it's still hanging around $300 something a share, which is far higher than these hedge funds I think need it to drop for them to get paid off of their options. But eventually they're going to have to pay all that money back, which will probably make the stock rise again, in which case if you're holding shares, you can see another big rise and potentially get paid as an everyman, while the Wall Street fat cats lose, which is music. It's music to my ears. I love this song.
It's beautiful.
But Lampy says if they didn't do something, the SEC could get involved and potentially completely revoke Robinhood's broker status. But I'm confused by that. Then, like, what is it? Why is it Robinhood needed to do something to stop the SEC from getting involved? Like what? Like I don't understand what we as regular people were doing that needed to be stopped.
Considering that it's all legal,
right? Yeah. Like what is wrong with me buying as much of a stock as I possibly can? I don't understand. Like that's what they do. Why can't I do that
for them, bro? Yeah. I don't know what. There's no defense for Robinhood stopping regular folks from making money. They're literally the gatekeeper.
and if they are worried that the SEC would revoke their broker status because of this situation, doesn't that just mean that the SEC is corrupt? Yeah, it means they're saying, "Oh, you let all these hedge funds lose all this money to these regular broke people, so we're not going to let you do it anymore." Right? They would lose
I'll be like,
their
what
business.
That got to do with me?
Well, I'm assuming that's who grants them the ability to do this, right? Like the SEC says, "Hey, you guys can be a broker for whoever else," right? So if they anger the SEC, then the SEC can take that away. Sure, fine, I get that. But why is it in the SEC's interest that regular people can't participate in the stock market? Like that's a big issue because the SEC is supposed to overlook the freaking stock market. Yeah, like that seems like a conflict of interest. Yeah. As far as I understand it, I could be wrong.
The SEC would have been aware that this stock has been shorted for all this, all these many times.
Yeah.
Like, stock has been shorted consistently.
Yeah, and apparently
consistently.
that's fine. Like that's normal
Yeah.
procedure. Like that's what these
Exactly.
guys have been doing for a while. It's just
And
they
making
got
money.
So it's
yeah, and making money. Yeah, they lost this round, and now everyone's worried.
Yeah.
Like it's ridiculous. Is
stupid.
is there anything else on this that we want to dive into? Anything people aren't understanding in the chat? Anything you guys want to add? Because we are at pretty much time. Lampy says if the SEC decided that Robinhood actions as a broker were based on insider information or any other illegal activity, and Robinhood weren't doing proper checks that led to market manipulation.
So like what all those people were doing before this, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Like
Is
if
that exactly what you're talking about?
Because that's the thing that I don't get is when people are talking about, well, we have to stop it because it could be this
could-
market
yeah.
manipulation, it could be
It
this.
was already
But
that.
what?
It's
But
been
what
that.
about this is different than what's been happening for 5-10
Exactly.
years?
Mhm.
Because I mean, if there is a difference, I want to know what it is. Because I'd
Yeah.
like to know, like exactly what the situation is. But yeah, why is that different other than the rich are losing?
like
Exactly.
like there
There's
should be an
no
investigation.
defense.
There should absolutely be an investigation. But if they're gonna look into, like Wall Street bets, like where all this stuff originated, then they should at the same time be looking into all the hedge funds who were taking out short bets and see what the difference was. Like Jesse is saying, like investigate all of it. Look at the whole picture from both sides and be like, you know what, this is equivalent exchange.
Yeah. either it's wrong for everybody or it's right. There should be
Exactly.
no one way or the other.
Like I'm not gonna defend the rich on this one.
DJ says all of it seems super shady, like they're just trying to keep the status quo. I agree. I think that is exactly what it looks like. And Lampy is suggesting we check out Hogue Law's video series. He does a lot of videos around the legal side of the games industry, and I will likely do that, Lampy. So thanks for that suggestion. But anything else you guys want to add before we sign off?
Um,
The revolution will not be televised.
you ain't wrong about that.
All right. So
I still think. Oh, I was gonna say I still think that this is all just a huge gamble based on conceptions. So good luck if you win it. Like real talk.
I will say
I'm talking to
it's been a
the
fun
common
ride.
folk.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not
a-
talking to the
Let me
higher
roll.
up.
As long as you're
$20.
not, losing your life savings, this has
Yeah.
been very entertaining to say the least.
Yeah, I'm praying for y'all.
But with that, we're gonna go ahead and sign off. Blue, where can people find you if they're looking for you on the internet?
Oh man, my name is Bluebones, BLUB0NES. You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of them. You know what I mean? Even Snapchat. I don't be on there, but you can catch me on there.
How does that work?
That means you send me a video, I'll send you back like, hey, how you doing? Yeah, no, that's where you can catch me. I know this this past week on Friday, myself and Matt the Bandit King did a really fun stream on A Way Out. We're doing the series every Friday, so we're gonna be continuing it. Man, it is a mess. We are definitely not as serious as we should be when we play that. But next Friday, 2:30 p.m. Eastern, it's gonna be dope. You guys should definitely.
Nice. Miss Kendra, Madam Zeddy, where can people find you on the internet?
Pretty much everything is Madam Zeddy on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch. I don't use Snapchat that much. I mean, as far as like my cosplay page on Facebook, it is Senpai Dolphin Cosplay. That is SIMPAI Dolphin Cosplay. Yeah, that's it.
Nice. How about you, Jesse? Where can people find you?
People can find me easiest on Twitter, which is at RexiconJesse. If you like tabletop RPG stuff, you can check that out at rexiconjesse.itch.io. And then I started streaming regularly Thursday nights from 5 to 7 Eastern Standard Time on
Nice.
Twitch, which is twitch.tv/RexiconJesse.
There you go. You got
Sweet.
it.
Superman Jeff, where can the people find you?
Hey man, you can find me at Superman Jeff 12 on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Check me out this Monday for Monday Night Siege. Tuesday, probably gonna do the WandaVision recap for the first couple episodes. And then Thursday we'll be back with Guardian Thursdays, which is Destiny 2.
Nice.
Hey.
You can find me at Sigma Gears 9 on pretty much all social media. You can find me on Facebook at Sigma and Sun. Later today, you can find me back on these channels for Super Smash Sunday. 2:30 p.m. Eastern, be there. We'll be fighting each other and such. Yesterday, A Marvelous Escape, which is the Escapist Marvel recap show, should have come out, but it was delayed thanks to some copyright stuff. So that should come out at some point today. Maybe, I don't know if it's up now. Who knows? You'll see me retweet it on my Twitter if it's out. So stay tuned for that. We recap all the Marvel stuff with Jack Packard and Darren Mooney. Later in the week, I'll probably be on Nick's Editor's Hour. Tuesday is the Post 3MR. I'll be playing something that should be... Actually, I don't know if that game's embargo will be over by then. So I don't know. Forget I said anything about that. But either way, check out my Twitter. You'll see all the stuff that I'm doing on a regular basis. I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode. Thanks to all my co-hosts. Thanks to everyone watching at home. See you guys next week. Peace.
Bye.